Let's start with this. How surprised were you at the outcome in Cincinnati on Sunday?
So Hardy, I was surprised by the outcome, not so much by how they played. Like I actually thought they were going to play them tough. I think part of what surprised me was, well, one, that they played such a clean game after what we saw in the preseason, and honestly, two, like the Bengals, I expected a lot more from them, and especially after I watched the game over, I was sort of shocked at just how underwhelming Joe Burrow was, and I probably underestimated, and this is hard when you're not in the city around the team every day. Like, probably underestimated how much drama they had going on there with Chase and Higgins, and they just look like lifeless for a team playing their home opener.
Mike, I was thinking of it the other day. How many teams want to play the way the Patriots did on Sunday? Run the ball, control the game, low scoring. And I came up with maybe 8 to 10 teams in football who do it, and I'd say 5 or 6 of them are perennial playoff teams. I know Pittsburgh it likes to play that way. Seattle under Pete Carroll like to play that way, and who knows if they'll do the same thing under Mike McDonald. My point is, how sustainable is what the Patriots did on Sunday for a semi-successful season or a successful season? How sustainable is that formula?
Well, I think it's a great point, Michael. And I think this week is actually going to give us a good answer to it because I started to study up on the Seahawks a little bit, just watching their first game. They beat the Broncos, and they're going to be hard to run on. Like they have these big bodies in the middle with Leonard Williams, Jonathan Hankins, Jaron Reed, their first round pick, Byron Murphy. Like I think they gave up less than 100 yards rushing last week. Bo Nix, the Broncos quarterback, was the leading rusher, and a lot of that was him running for his life. So I actually think, Michael, it's going to be hard for them to match their rushing output this week, let alone over the course of a season. But I sort of love the way Gerard Mayo is talking about it and saying, look, we're going to try, and you got to stop us, and then if you do, we'll see if we can win another way.
The other part of the equation for a Patriots win is to have a dominant defense, which the Patriots had last weekend. I wanted your opinion on DeMarcus Covington, who you guys spoke to yesterday. We talked a little bit about him in the first hour. The Patriots' defensive success, more talent-driven, or is it a scheme that Covington has come up with in his first game?
Ooh, good one, John. I think it's talent, and I think that's a theme. I think that's the theme that I'm hearing from the coaches and the players. Like, and I over the last 24 years, rightfully so, with Bill Belichick, like the wizard, the unbelievable tactician. I think we oftentimes played that part up from a media perspective, like the X's and O's, winning the chess match. I actually think I'm seeing a simplification in terms of just their messaging and just what they're saying. Like players got to go out and make plays. Like John, that fourth down tackle that Jonathan Jones made,
Yep.
like I don't know how much that scheme as much as like a really good player making like an out of this world play, right? And I think I it's refreshing in a sense where Gerard Mayo's like, guys, stop talking so much. I don't know if he's saying this correctly, but like, stop talking so much about scheme. Like, it's about the guys on the field, the Jimmies and the Joes, if you will. So I don't know, just sort of a thought, after 1 week.
Yeah, I wonder what the attitude is like in the locker room right now, and what Gerard Mayo is doing to build upon this and hopefully turn it into something other than an outlier. One of those wins against the good teams that maybe deep down in their hearts they weren't necessarily expecting. Okay, maybe we got something going here. Let's build on this. Let's take care of business at home against the Seahawks. Wait a second, let's not get too full of ourselves in the process. We got to win. How do we keep this momentum without thinking and turning this into something that isn't? Let's not start believing that we are something that we haven't quite proven that we are yet.
And that's right. And Hardy, I think this week, what I'm going to be watching for is, and this is crazy because when you think about the Seahawks, they have three really good receivers: DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. But they're actually like, I feel like they want to be like the Patriots. Like Michael said, they want to run the ball. I think they ran for 146 yards last week, and they got two good backs. And I have to say, like to John's point about the personnel versus scheme, like I think that that Barmore loss losing him at defensive tackle, that did not show up in week 1. I don't think the Bengals really challenged the Patriots like trying to run the ball inside, but they're going to get challenged this week as I watch the Seahawks in their week 1 game, and I want to see how they hold up in there. They got Devon Godchow, good run stopping defensive tackle, and they have other good defensive tackles, but they're not like beefy, like jack 'em up run stoppers. And I think that we're going to find out this week, in sort of my initial study, how that holds up against a good opponent.
You said earlier that you may have underestimated the vibe in Cincinnati, like all the drama that was surrounding that team. Well, tell me on the flip side, I just want, you were there, you saw it, you felt it. What was it like for the Patriots after that win? Because I heard, Robert Kraft giving Mayo the ball, and then the Gatorade shower, and all these players, these expressions about Mayo. What did you see? What did you feel there?
Michael, it's a great one. Great question. Just like, how do I describe it? So Jabril Peppers coming off the field after the game, and all the reporters are standing around. So it's like a great chance to capture the emotion. And he just came off the field and he said, "This is what we bleeping do," as he ran into the locker room. And I thought that captured a little bit of yeah, we might have had some doubt as to how this was going to go. Whole new regime, new coaches, but like we still got it. Like I felt like that was sort of how I would sum up the vibe. And then being in the locker room, like almost like we used to go in, you were in there with me with Rodney Harrison. Remember, we would visit his locker, and he would like, even in the like 17-0 season, like
Nobody believes.
nobody believed in us.
Right, right.
Like I was already feeling it, Michael, after one game. And I think that was a big part of it. Like Mayo was telling them, like, you guys can do this, and showing them plays. Like, here's why we can do it. And I think that mentality is already taking shape.
One more question about the offense and the line specifically, which was good in some spots on Wanu and Andrews and bad at the other 3 spots. I think Seattle had 9 or 10 quarterback hits against Denver last weekend. That there has to be a change, because as good as they were run blocking, they weren't very good pass blocking last weekend.
So, John, this is an interesting one. I would push back on that myself, and I know everyone has like different views when they watch the game over. Like there were 3 plays where I charted that the Bengals had runaway rushers. So those are rushers that literally are unaccounted for. Like those are the plays where I say you put them right on the offensive line. Like there's no like black and white, that's on them. They miscommunicated, they didn't, whatever. Then I think there were a bunch of plays where like Trey Hendrickson's like a damn good edge rusher. Like he's gonna win some at left tackle. Like you tip your cap to them. And I think what I would just add to this, some of those pressures, and I know like the number comes out like the pressure rate was 50%. Like I would estimate like half of those are like the initial pocket is good, and you're not seeing receivers uncover right away, whether it was against man or zone. So I'm not saying the line was great by any means, but like I'm watching Seattle, John, and like they got the same issues. Their right guard gave up a safety in the end zone. They're facing pressure from the Broncos. So I don't think these problems are unique to just the Patriots. But I do, I'm not saying it's not a problem, but I think I'm probably a little less of on the urgency meter on that position than maybe some others.
Yeah, just real quickly, Mike, with Seattle, but what are we looking at this weekend? We were talking about it yesterday with Andrew. He's like, I don't know what this team is. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know for Seattle. I haven't looked at them at all. What should we be expecting on Sunday?
I love it, Heartache. So I just started, and I think they're a lot like the Patriots. So their head coach, Mike McDonald's the youngest head coach in the league. He's 37. Mayo is the second youngest at 38. So there's new identity. Mike McDonald comes from the Ravens, so their defense is very, very like similar to the Patriots in a sense, in that it's going to do a lot of different things to test you up front. They love to run the ball, but like watch out, because they got those 3 good receivers. So like there was one drive in this first game where He pops one to Lockett on the sideline, gets one over the middle, and then Geno Smith runs 34 yards for a touchdown. So they have an explosive element to them, even though I think they want to wear you down and grind you out.
All right. Well, we'll be watching for that on Sunday. If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.